NCERT 11th standard. Means we are going to start with 11th standard NCERT, means this one, Indian Constitution at Work. Indian Constitution at Work. Okay. What is the first chapter of Indian Constitution at Work? Its first chapter is Constitution, Why and How. Constitution, Why and How. Okay. So let's get started with chapter 1. See, Constitution. What is Constitution? First of all, you need to know about the meaning of Constitution. And once we go on to have a look upon the term like Constitution, it is also obligatory to have some sort of look upon the term like polity. Okay. So I am going to add an extra term along with the term like Constitution, and that term is polity. Fine. So what is Constitution? What is polity? What is the correlationship prevailing between these two terms, namely the Constitution as well as polity? Okay. See, the term Constitution and polity, they are simply like the term theory and practical. Practical means you can say experiment. See, polity is nothing but simply the experiment of whatever be given under the Constitution. Don't you think in your schooling days, more precisely you can say when you used to be in your 10th standard, 9th standard, or you can say 11th and 12th standard, you would be attending your classes, or more precisely you can say the theoretical classes or theory based classes of science, and after going through the theory based classes of physics, chemistry or biology, you are asked to come and join your experiment classes, that is the classes which were accomplished in laboratory setup, means you are invited in lab, and in lab, that is laboratory, whatever you have already studied in your theory class, same theory was provided the practical step, means you commit your practicals based on the theory you have already studied in your classroom program. Similarly, if I term the Constitution as a theoretical perspective, then the polity be automatically termed as an experimental perspective, or you can say it's a practical perspective. In simplest possible term, you can say if the Constitution is a theory, then polity is a practical. Now the question is, theory and practical for what? Means for which things we are talking about the theoretical context, again for which things we are talking about the practical context or experimental context. Remember, the thing is simply governance and administration. Governance and administration. You need to remember the only phrase, and that is governance and administration. Remember, the theoretical aspect of the governance and administration of a country is called the constitution of that country. And simply, the practical aspect or experimental aspect of the governance and administration of a country is called the polity of that country. So don't you think After having a look upon the gist of the thing given here, you can say the terms constitution and polity, they are highly related to each other. There is actually no clear-cut differentiation between the two terms, namely the constitution and polity. The point of differentiation one can face here is only on the basis of their behavioral aspect, only on the basis of the modes of usage. If something is given a theoretical design, a particular name can be given, and if the same thing is given a practical design, yet another name can be given. But don't you think both the names, both the terms, they are relied upon the similar context or same context, and that context is all about the governance and administration of a country? Are you getting my point or not? See, one common point you need to remember is governance and administration of a country. Don't you think the governance and administration of a country, they are run according to different provisions, according to different patterns? Different things are needed to regulate the governance and administration of a country. And if all those things, all those principles, all those perspectives, if they are given a theoretical design, a theoretical shape, that theoretical shape is nothing but simply the constitution of that country. And whatever the theoretical aspects enshrined in the constitution of a country concerned, if they are given an experimental design, if they are given a practical shape, the term polity will simply emerge. Okay, this is what the basic relationship between the constitution and polity, and it is an informal definition to be assigned with the terms like constitution and polity. This is the reason why whenever the nomenclature of your syllabi is given, it is simply mentioned in a manner like Indian polity and constitution, or in other words you can say Indian constitution and polity, right? So if somewhere it is given the term like constitution only, the term polity is automatically perceptible. If somewhere it is given the term polity only, the term constitution is automatically evident, automatically obvious. So they are basically the correlated terms. The difference prevailing between the two is only as per the basis of their application, as per the basis of their design, as per the basis of their shape. If we talk about a theoretical shape of governance and administration, it will be referred to as the constitution. If we talk about the practical or experimental shape of governance and administration of a country, it will be simply referred to as polity. Now I hope you might have understood the meaning of these two terms, namely the constitution and polity. Okay, see. Now let's have an entry upon the formal look of constitution, means the topic, or I mean to say the very first chapter given in your 11th standard NCERT syllabus. See, what is the formal definition of constitution? I am going to discuss about. Constitution. As per the discussion we have made till now, it must be obvious to you that constitution is something related to theoretical aspect of a country's governance and administration. Now the question is, what is the form or what is the format given to this theoretical aspect or this theoretical perspective? Remember, the theoretical perspective related to constitution is given in documented format. So you can say constitution is merely a document. What it is? Constitution is a document. You know document? See, this book can be referred to as a document. If you are having 8 to 10 pieces of written papers, you can say yes, I am having a particular document. Whatever you go through the note making of different subjects, all your notes can be called the documents. Okay, but one thing you should always remember, a document cannot be blank. Suppose I am having 5 A4 size white sheets, but nothing is written in those white sheets. In that situation, a collection of those white sheets cannot be referred to as a document. Means for the pieces of papers, in order to refer them as a document, it is obligatory to show some sort of verbal interpretation or verbal presentation over those pieces of paper. So, as I told you, constitution is a document, means something is there which is given in written format. Okay. Now the question is, if constitution is a document and whatever the NCERT book I am showing you, as I told you earlier that it is also a document, then what's the difference between this piece of document and the document like constitution which we will be talking about? Remember, the document like constitution is a legal document, but it is an ordinary document. It's not a legal document. Don't you think? From second point onwards, you can easily make a difference between an ordinary document and a document like constitution. Okay. See, we have discussed till now that constitution is a legal document. Now the question is, if somebody refers as legal document, or you can say if somebody refers a constitution, then what are the things he can find out after having a reference to such document? Means this document is comprised of which kind of things, which kind of issues? Your response would be certainly all the issues needed to govern and administer a country. All the issues needed to govern and administer a country. Means the issues related to governance of a country, the issues related to administration of a country, they all are given in this legal document. They all are given in this document called constitution. This is what the formal definition of constitution. Okay. So take down point number 1 about constitution. Constitution. First of all, you should jot it down in a manner like constitution, then make a dash and make this type of shape. Again put down point number 1. So take down point number 1 about constitution. It's a legally approved document or legally sanctified document comprising of the basic governing principles of the state, the basic governing principles of a country. Is it okay? This is all about the first and foremost thing related to the term like constitution. Okay. Now, what is the second point you can face or one can face out of the topic like constitution, the term like constitution? Remember, whichever the countries are given, like suppose here is country C1, here is country C2, here is country C3, here is country C4. No matter which country is given, each and every country have its legally sanctified document called the constitution. Means you always find a constitution for a country concerned, no matter to which country you are talking about, right? For example, suppose we are talking about country 1 C1. It is obvious that it must possess a constitution of its own. Fine. Whatever the constitution of country 1 is there, that constitution will surely contain the issues related to governance and administration of country C1. Means on the basis of those principles which are given in constitution of C1, the administration and governance of country C1 will run. That's it. One thing more. Constitution of a country is always called the fundamental law of the country. Means other laws might also be there, no problem. But out of the different laws, whenever it comes to the fundamental law of that country, it would be obviously the constitution of the country. You know, means second point is all about constitution is fundamental law of the country. Now the question is, what is meant by the expression the constitution being the fundamental law of the country? See, the responsibility to make legislation is vested in legislative authority of a country. Okay, I mean to say, when it comes to the government of a country, okay, it has always its three different organs. Means there are altogether three different organs of a government. One is called the legislative, other is called the executive, and third one is called the judiciary. See, legislative, executive and judiciary, all these three organs are given in the form of three distinct chapters in your NCERT. Don't you think we have already seen while I was showing you the different chapters of 11th standard textbook, that is Indian Constitution at Work. But at that point of time when we will switch over upon these topics, we will discuss them elaborately. But for the time being, I am just going to show you that the principal job of this legislative authority is to make legislations or to make enactments or to make laws. Means it is the legislative organ of the government which is called the law-making authority of the country or law-making authority of the government. Okay. So, suppose this legislative authority has make a law, namely X. Okay. But a few moments ago, as I told you, that for every country, their constitution is called the supreme law. Okay. Means when the legislative authority of the country concerned will go on to make a legislation over a particular subject, that legislation can enjoy the validity only after having its consonance with the constitution of that country. For example, we are talking about the legislative authority of country C1. Okay. See, here is the government of country C1. This government comprised of three different organs, legislative, executive and judiciary. We are talking about the legislative organ. Suppose this legislative organ of government of country C1 makes a legislation named X. Okay. But at the same time, it is also obligatory to all of you, it is also obvious to all of you that country 1 is having its own constitution. And in case of country C1 having its constitution, this constitution is the fundamental law, supreme law. Now the question is, what is meant by this fundamental law? What is meant by this legislation which has been legislated or formulated by legislative authority? See, this legislation X is called ordinary legislation. Now the question is, what is meant by ordinary legislation and what is the relationship prevailing between an ordinary legislation and a fundamental law? See, an ordinary legislation can be given the validity only and only if it is having resemblance or similarity with the provisions given in constitution, that is the fundamental law. Means constitution simply functions as a parameters to judge the validity of a law. And law is what? Law is basically the resultant of the work done by the legislative authority. Suppose the legislative authority L has made a law X. Okay. Whether this law should be given the validity or not, it simply depends upon its consistency with the provisions of the constitution. And constitution is what? Constitution is nothing but the fundamental law of the land. So for country C1, it is the constitution of C1 which shall be referred to as the fundamental law of C1, fundamental law of this land, fundamental law of this country. And why it is referred to as the fundamental law? Because it is basically a landmark to judge a legislation, that whether the legislation so made by the legislative authority be warranted the validity or not, and on what grounds the constitution provides validity to an ordinary legislation made by the legislative authority of the government. The basis is simple. What's the basis? The basis is if the legislation does not confront the constitutional provision, then it would be allowed to enjoy the validity. And if the legislation so made by the legislative authority confronts the constitutional provisions, having inconsistency with the constitutional provisions, in that situation, the said legislation shall be declared as unconstitutional. Are you getting my point or not? So don't you think it is the constitution only which acts as the landmark to decide over the validity of a law? So every law would have to pass a reality check by having or not having resemblance with constitution of the country. This is the reason why the constitution of a country is called the fundamental law of the country. Okay, so this is second point about constitution. Why third point? What is the third point? Third point is, see, it's the constitution only which makes us know about the nature of polity existed in a country. There is a separate chapter given in your textbook based on nature of polity, and that is basically the federalism only which is given in your textbook. But when we switch over upon that particular topic of federalism, we will also talk about the unitary aspect of polity, we will also talk about the quasi-federal aspect of polity too. But for the time being, what you need to remember is the only thing which is constitution provides us knowledge about the nature of polity existed in a country. Suppose, since we are talking about the constitution of country C1, so this constitution can easily make you know about the fact that what nature of polity exists in C1, whether it is unitary, whether it is quasi-federal, whether it is federal. So don't you think these are some reasons on the basis of that one can easily say that why constitution is needed for a country? One thing more, the constitution of a country also makes us know about the fact that what is the mode of different sorts of institutional arrangements of the country. Institutional arrangements. For example, if an individual wishes to visit the different provisions of Indian Constitution in order to know the institutional arrangement prevailing in our country, one can easily have a look upon the provisions related to Parliament, the provisions related to Supreme Court, the provisions related to different high courts, the provisions related to public service commissions and so on and so forth. So it's the constitution only which provide us the information about the institutional arrangements, means what are the different sorts of institutions related to different responsibilities, different jobs, different aspects of governance and administration, etc., etc. Okay, see, the constitution also provides us information about the powers of the different organs of the government. Different organs of the government means, we have already seen there are three different organs of the government. One is legislative, other is executive, and third one is judiciary. So if you wish to know about the legislative authority of country C1, if you wish to know about the executive authority of country C1, and again if you wish to know about the judicial authority of country C1, you need not require to wander here and there. What is required here is simply go on to have a look upon the constitution of C1, and you can easily get to know what is the extent of powers being enjoyed by legislative authority of C1. You can easily get to know about what is the extent of power enjoyed by executive authority of country C1, and again what is the extent of the power, domain of power, periphery of power being enjoyed by the judicial authority of country C1. This is the reason why constitution is needed, because it's the constitution only which makes the government's discipline to work on the path of providing a welfare orientation to state by providing a smooth administration to the country, by providing or ensuring smooth governance to the country. So this is all about chapter number 1. Why constitution is needed? Don't you think in order to look after all such affairs a constitution is needed? In order to regulate the different organs of the government, constitution is needed. In order to show the proper degree of institutional arrangements in a country, the constitution is needed. In order to provide smooth administration and governance in a country, the constitution is needed. In order to make us know about the extent of the powers enjoyed by different organs of the government of the country, constitution is needed. And since constitution is, a well-planned document, it contains with all such principles, all such issues, all such facts which are needed to provide smooth governance and administration in order to uphold the welfare orientation of the state. That's it. This is all about chapter number 1 of Indian Constitution at work, namely the Constitution, why and how. Is it okay? Now you are suggested to refer this chapter, okay? And after having a reference to this chapter, you are also suggested to write the answers to the questions following the chapter. See, here are some questions given in the form of exercise. So once you properly go through the entire text of chapter 1, you are suggested to answer these questions. And if you find yourself capable enough to answer these questions, it means you have done justice with chapter number 1 and you are going on right track. Otherwise, some reforms need to be made. So in our another episode, we will see over upon the second chapter of Indian polity and constitution, or more precisely you can say the second chapter of Indian Constitution textbook or NCERT, that is rights in Indian Constitution. So we'll be starting the second episode tomorrow. So for the time being, take care. Thank you so much.